And Bruce said, yeah, I saw that it automatically pops them as well. So that's great.
Perfect.
I see there is a hand raised, Jamie Hosking. Do you guys see that too?
Yep. Jamie, I saw the hand go down. If you do have a question, I can allow you to access your microphone. Just if you do have a question, raise your hand and I can allow you that access. All right, Heather, otherwise we are at 2:01. So I will just remind everyone, if you require the closed captioning, you can turn on the closed captioning. At the bottom of your Zoom window, you should have a transcribe option or show captions icon. Click on that and you'll enable the closed captions just for yourself. If you have any questions, feel free to use the chat. The chat is open to everyone and is a public chat, or you can raise your hand if you do require ASL interpretation to ask your question. I can also grant you webcam access so you can ask your question using ASL, and one of our wonderful interpreters, Rebecca or Kim, can translate to English for our presenters. The session will be recorded and will be posted to the eChannel Pop-Up PD website. I'm going to paste the link in the chat. It will be posted next week. It does take a little bit of time for all of the resources to become available to us. And there will be a short survey either when you leave the session or when we end the session. A Zoom survey link will pop up in your preferred web browser. We do ask that you take a minute to 2 minutes to fill out the very short survey evaluation. And with that being said, Heather, over to you.
Stacy. First of all, I just want to welcome everybody to our first pop-up PD of this fiscal year. We do have 5 scheduled through the year, and we will be sending out a flyer summarizing what those are and what the dates are and giving you registration links. So please stay tuned for those. But for today, we have planned enhance your program with new LBS resources, discover a wealth of hidden gems from 2024 and 2025. So we'll be looking at some of the new and some of the updated resources. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so I love the pirate hat somebody added to this, but anyway, I am the executive director of the Quill Learning Network. I won't spend a lot of time on who I am, but Quill is the lead on the deliverable to deliver pop-up PD to the province. Next, please. Okay, and before we get into the presentation, I just want to read the statement of recognition, my apologies. While we meet today on a virtual platform, let's take a moment to recognize, respect, and acknowledge the importance of the lands we occupy and from which we benefit. Today, let's reaffirm our commitment and responsibility to improve relationships between nations and our own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. Let's remind ourselves that wherever we are, we live on the ancestral and unceded territory of Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people. Next. Okay, just a bit about Pop-Up PD. If you're regular attenders, you already know that this. These are free webinar series developed by the regional networks and provincial support organizations for literacy. And the intent is to support LBS practitioners by providing presentations on topics that are important to them and to the literacy field. Pop-Up PD has existed in this format since 2015, and all of the presentations are recorded, transcribed, and in many cases translated as well. ASL is available on most of them, so you can find them at the pop-up PD resources for LBS educators site, which has been the link to which has been posted in the chat. So we are always looking for ideas for new topics to present on. So if you have a topic that you'd like to learn more about, it's a particular issue that's in your community or your program, please let us know and we will do our very best to accommodate you. Thank you. Next slide. Okay.
Heather, sorry, it's Stacy. Before we keep going, I see Grace has their hand up in the participant panel. Grace, do you have a question? Okay, I saw the hand go down. Just raise it again if you do have a question and I'll grant you your mic. All right, no worries. Go ahead, Heather.
Okay, thanks. So today we're highlighting some of the new resources that have been created by our regional networks and our support organizations. They create a number of them each year. And so this is just an opportunity to let literacy field know what they are in kind of a one-stop shop, so they can get the information from one source rather than receiving multiple emails and having to remember all the links and all the information. So this is by no means an exhaustive list. It's just an overview of some of what was created. And it's been sorted by topic and theme to try to put a bit of order to it. So we will be going through by theme, alphabetical, just to make it orderly. A link to the recorded presentation will be sent to you after some point after the webinar, maybe not immediately, it might be within a day or so. When you do receive that, you will find that all of the hyperlinks to the resources are active. So it's a good resource for you. And as was already mentioned, please complete the short evaluation survey that is not going to be posted in the chat, but will pop up when you go to leave the webinar. So that just helps us to report to the ministry. Okay, so before I get into the individual resources, I just want to draw attention to probably one of the greatest resources that we have is the Literacy Resources Forum. And this is maintained by Community Literacy of Ontario, Lawbach Literacy Ontario, and Contact North. And so with the volume of resources that have been created in recent years, it just made sense to make every effort to have links to those in one location, rather than just on the individual websites of the organization that created them. I wouldn't say that all of the resources are uploaded here yet, but that is probably the long-term goal. So if you are looking for a resource and you can't remember where else it is saved, please check out the Literacy Resources Forum, and you might find what you're looking for and a whole lot more. And if you have created a resource, please consider sharing it with the field via the forum. Okay, so we're going to just look first at resources that were created and categorized under administration or HR. Next slide, please. The first are the HR toolkits. These were created by Learning Ontario Central South, or LOCS. And basically this year, the LOC this past year, Locks updated 2 hiring guides that they had previously developed for the LBS field. And these are hiring an executive director and hiring a practitioner. So they are available in English, and the French translation updates are underway or will be underway shortly. So they will also be available in French at some future date. They're both downloadable from the Locks website. I'm not sure if they're on the resources forum, but they're definitely available on their website. So if you do not have hiring guides, or you need to update your current guide and you need some ideas, definitely check these out. Oh, sorry, just a note in the chat. I see that the translations were completed on that those HR guides were completed this week, so will be available shortly. Thanks, Chantel. Okay, and the LBS Impact Report template for Ontario School Board programs, and this was created by KESBA. And this is a template that can be used by school board LBS programs, and I would imagine it could be used by anyone who needs to write an impact report for their organization. In addition to the template itself, which provides a lot of other information that would be great in a impact report. There's also a walkthrough video of the template and a full instruction guide video on how to use the template to showcase the work that you have done. So just on that note, as I stumbled through that slide, just want to say, while I'm walking you through these slides, I will say I am not an expert on all of the resources that we are going to be giving an overview here. So if you do have questions, definitely your best route is to contact the organization that actually created it. Now, there may be representatives of that organization in attendance today, in which case, if you put any questions you have in the chat, there may be a chance that you can get them answered there. I will do my best to answer any questions that come up, but again, I am not an expert in all of these resources. Okay, thanks. Next. Okay, so apprenticeship, skilled trades. Next, please. Okay, there are a number of apprenticeship resources that have been created this year. This one, the LBS Apprenticeship Toolkit, was created by Literacy Link South Central, and it's a toolkit of resources that can be used by adult literacy programs. It was developed in consultation with LBS programs and managers and others in the literacy field. The resources have all been tailored to meet the needs of frontline LBS program staff and include such things as infographics, videos, curriculum booklets, recordings of webinars, and a navigation guide of existing apprenticeship-focused resources. And this toolkit is available in English and French. Thank you. The Enhanced Literacy Service Planning for Apprenticeship Web Resources Reference List. This was created by Tri-County Literacy Network, and it is a web resources list that will help LBS staff or programs find information, specific information to assist learners on the apprenticeship goal path. It contains the names, a brief summary of the resources, as well as a link to the source. So some of the topics include resources on navigating the apprenticeship system, LBS resources to support apprenticeship readiness, LBS prep resources for some specific digital apps, LBS preparation for certificate of qualification exams, Red Seal exams, and the names and contact information of associations who can support potential and current apprentices. Apprenticeship Connections e-newsletters, Simcoe Muskoka Skillforce, and there's a whole committee involved in this, made up of other regional networks and support organizations. So these are electronic publications or newsletters to share information about apprenticeship in Ontario and how Ontario's LBS service providers can support the broader skilled trades community. So two new e-newsletters were produced last year, and they contain a wide variety of information about the field, and it's been submitted by people in the field, by knowledgeable in apprenticeship who have apprenticeship initiatives underway. And the two from last year join a whole number of other e-newsletters that have been created under the banner of the Apprenticeship Connection in past years. So if you go to the website that is linked here, you will be able to see all of the new e-newsletters, past and present. Bringing LBS to Apprenticeship webinar. So Simcoe Muskoka Skillforce also created a webinar, and it's exactly what it says, bringing LBS to apprenticeship. So it's a short webinar. It was, I think, a half an hour, 45 minutes in length. And there were some tips on how to better support LBS learners who want to pursue an apprenticeship, how to understand differences between traditional learners and learners interested in skilled trades, and how to connect with and build trust with pre-apprentices, and and then it just touched on a number of the many resources that have been developed to support apprentice learners. Three podcasts related to apprenticeship. These are kind of interviews with people actually in apprenticeships, or past or present, and some of their personal experiences. And so they're very interesting conversations in that they reinforce why it is important to promote skilled trades to the next generation. They talk about challenges they faced in education and in the apprenticeship opportunities they were given. And also in some of them, we're talking about the whole process of getting their Red Seal certification and the significance of journeyman status in skilled trades. So once again, you can access these three plus others by going to the link provided. Routes to skilled trades and apprenticeship. So this is something that Project READ in the Waterloo region created for a couple of their communities. They mapped out the route to apprenticeship, basically how to get there. And they gave a bunch of information that would help learners in their communities explore the skilled trades. There's a lot of information in these particular resources that may be more local than provincial, but if it can be definitely used as a template for creating a similar resource in other communities across the province. Okay, so Community Literacy of Ontario has also created an apprenticeship webinar series. There are 3 webinars, all of which have been recorded and are available in that format. The first webinar looks at pre-apprenticeship in Ontario, and the second looks at how to support apprentices in Ontario, particularly those that require a little more assistance during their apprenticeship journey. It looks also at the practical challenges of the apprenticeship process, as well as how to support apprentices in completing the Red Seal exam. The third and final webinar is about supporting apprentices in the Certificate of Qualification exam. This is, okay. Artificial intelligence. Okay. LBS chatbot assistant. So while I was preparing the slides, I was clicking on that, trying it out. It's an awesome, awesome tool. It's created by Literacy Link South Central. And so they created this chatbot brought it to life. They have an ed tech team, and they have a fair bit of experience in recent years with AI. So they have created this tool that will help adult educators in LBS and in Ontario use AI in their classrooms, or to create resources for use in their classrooms. They've created a number of learning activities that comply with universal design for learning, that are aligned with the OALCF and are written in plain language. I can't stress how cool it is. These webinars, they show you how to write the prompts that will allow that the chat bot will recognize to be able to create the task you really want. So, I mean, I guess you can write anything in it, but if you don't write it properly, you could end up with quite a wide variety of learning activities that don't meet your needs. So there's a proper way of wording it to get the results that you want. So very interesting. AI resource booklet created by Metro Toronto Movement for Literacy. So MTML offers regular sessions and workshops throughout the year, and they always summarize what happened at these and turn it into a resource tool for everybody else in the province who maybe wasn't able to attend. So this booklet highlights 2 days of AI workshops, includes annotated resources on AI tools, and lists other resources for professional development along this line. AI resources for LBS programs, Community Literacy of Ontario. So as part of the ongoing development, any new resources supporting the use of AI in LBS programs were created by CLO last fiscal and have been added to the Literacy Resources Forum. So if you go to the forum and you click in the term AI in the digital literacy section, it will pop up all of these 20 resources. It's also available on the community literacy website as well. Okay. AI Bites, e-bulletins, and Under the Eye of AI webinar. Contact North and Literacy Link South Central. So this is another series of e-bulletins, 6 of them in fact, that were specifically designed to provide insight and resources around the topic of AI. And while they are for educators in adult education, there is definitely an emphasis on education in LBS programs. So topics of these e-bulletins are an intro to AI and how LBS practitioners can use it in their practice, a look at AI tools and assistance, harnessing chatbots and mastering effective prompt writing, the importance of AI literacy for LBS practitioners, including its role in shaping the future of work and enhancing job search strategies, how AI is transforming accessibility and education for all learners, and then an overview of AI legislation in Canada. The webinar also talks that goes along with this about privacy as it relates to AI and the difference between privacy and security. Assessment. Okay. So this past fiscal year, regional networks and provincial support organizations were involved in the creation of a number of new milestones and culminating tasks. Oh, no, sorry, can you go back? Sorry. These are used for ongoing and exit assessments in LBS, and there were 24 new milestones created and 37 new culminating tasks created to give the LBS field a little more capacity in terms of assessing their learners or with assessment tools that make sense for the goal path that they are on and what they are learning in the classroom. I'm just gonna, Robin Cook Ritchie is here today at this webinar. I'm just gonna ask her to give us a little more information about these, because I know milestones and culminating tasks are always of great interest to the field, and knowing when they're going to have access to them might be of interest. Thanks, Robin.
Thanks, Heather. So I did put a link into the chat for everybody, and it's a link to a Google site where you'll see on this slide, there's an excerpt from the milestone master list and an excerpt from the culminating task master list. And if you go to that website, you will be able to see those two lists on the work plan and deliverables page. In what that will give you is the full list of milestones and culminating tasks that already existed, in addition to the ones that were developed in 2024, 2025. So it's going to give you the title and or a small description. In terms of when milestones will be available, the milestones are currently being translated. Actually, the translation was just wrapped up in the last couple of days. And once that process is 100% wrapped up, we do have to, I'm working right now with the ministry to coordinate the launch of the new milestones with their integration into EOIS CAMS. So that will happen all at the same time. It is my understanding that EOIS CAMS will have an update that is happening sometime over the summer, so hopefully before September. And at that time, the new milestones can be integrated into that system so that you can begin to use them on learner plans. So that will be coordinated to happen all at the same time. The culminating tasks are also being translated right now. And that translation process is underway. So I can't give you an exact timeline on that in terms of when both the English and the French will be fully completed, but I do anticipate it will be sometime in the fall. Of course, they don't require any work from this perspective of having anything put into CAMS. So once they're translated and we have both the English and the French sets, then they will be uploaded to the repository almost right away. But we do have to give time for that translation to happen. So that's it for milestones and culminating tasks. And as I speak, if you want to ask a question, just raise your hand. And I am doing the next slide too, I think. I'm just going to roll in and do the next slide for Heather. So during the process of developing milestones in the last fiscal year, one of the goals was to develop some mid-level 1 milestones. That's a need that has been identified for years in the field. We know that a lot of learners aren't ready to do the end of level 1 milestone for a long time. So there was a bit of a focus on ensuring that there would be some mid-level milestones developed. In order to develop mid-level milestones, we needed to create mid-level performance descriptors, and the descriptors had to be kind of created. So before we started the process last year, we did actually break level 1 down into 2 levels, so into a mid-level, and then of course the end level. So there's documents also on the website, which I shared with you, that give you all of the level 1s broken down into 2 levels. They're described as kind of drafts, and they're draft in that they're not integrated into the formal curriculum framework. They were reviewed by the vetting team and by a number of different people to ensure that they made sense and that they did represent roughly mid-level 1. When the new milestones come out, you will see that a number of them are identified as mid-level 1 milestones. I think there's maybe 6 that were developed that are mid-level 1. So I just if you're interested in understanding what mid-level 1 is, you can take a look at these documents, and it will help you in the same way that the curriculum framework does with the full level 1, 2, and 3.
Thanks, Robin. Don't see any hands raised or. Okay. All right. Next slide, please.
Sorry, Heather, there is
Yeah.
one question in the chat. Nicole asked, the mid-level milestones being discussed are an additional round of new milestones beyond what we currently have access to. So yeah, there is a new round of milestones that will be coming out sometime in the next couple of months. There's actually 24 new milestones. Of that group of new milestones, I think approximately 6 of them will be mid-level 1 milestones. So there's level 1, 2, and 3, but of the 24, I think 6 of them are mid-level 1.
Okay. Assessment tool database. So this was created last fiscal by LOCKSS, Quill Learning Network, Adult Basic Education Association, and Literacy Northwest. And it came about because there's always questions from programs about what assessment tool is everybody else using, what assessment tools do people recommend. When you go into CAMS, the assessment tool choices that it lists there that you can select from, a lot of them are no longer relevant, or that hasn't been updated in a while. So that's part of the reason for the question. So last year, the regional networks noted at the top of this slide, we ran a number of working groups, which could be referred to as communities of practice, around the topic of assessment. And it prompted some real great discussion about the assessment tools people use and what people recommend. There were a lot of new practitioners at these working groups that had no idea that as many assessment tools that many assessment tools actually existed. So we collected all that information and we put it into a spreadsheet, which and in it you'll find the names of all the assessments, some information on how to access the assessment, including if there's training provided or there's cost involved, and a bit about what type of learner profile they be best suited for. So there's a lot of information. It is kind of a live document, so we are adding and editing it as needed and on a regular basis. So yeah, so you can find it on the LBS resources forum. Next, please. Okay. LBS Needs Assessment Tool and Video. And this was created by KESBA. And the intention of this document was to provide school board administrators and staff with a process for evaluation of any relationships that exist between LBS and credit programming, and for identifying any further actions necessary to increase and deepen that relationship. So it is envisioned this tool will be used by LBS programs to develop and enhance service coordination and referrals to their adult education programs and back and vice versa. So there's 3 sections in this tool. One is on professional coordination, the second is on shared vision, and the third is on learner success. As part of this resource, there's also a full instruction guide video to inform the use of the tool. Okay, initial assessment, a policy and best practices guide for LBS. So as part of that working group that I talked about a couple slides back on assessment, in addition to creating the spreadsheet of assessment tools and resources, the network involved also put together this resource on policies and best practices for assessment, and it's based on the conversations that were held and input from LBS programs across the province. So in the first section of this resource, which is titled Developing Assessment Policies, there's information that can be used to develop assessment policies for LBS organizations and assessors. So if you don't already have those in place. And section 2 is the best practices section, which includes best practices that cover all stages of the assessment process from intake to exit. Okay. All right. So we often get questions about how to assess learners with more in-depth learning challenges, and so this kind of ties into that. This learning exploration tool, or LET, was developed by Adult Basic Education Association. And I'm not going to speak on it. I am going to turn this over to Sarah Gill, who is the ED of ABEA. She'll share that information with you.
Thanks, Heather. Just wanted to check in. It's cool if I'm on camera.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So yeah, thank you very much for offering a bit of space on today's agenda to talk about the learning exploration tool. This is something that is kind of a piece of our former work in the learning challenges assessment tool. I just have a couple of slides developed for today. Essentially, this is a pitch for some training that we're going to be offering in January to get a little bit of feedback and to share that that is coming up. So can we go to the first slide? Thanks. So this is a conversation certainly at the network level and at the provincial level that we continually hear around, training and resources to support learners with learning challenges. And so our network, ABEA, has been developed and has been using the Learning Challenges Assessment tool for 20 years. I just realized it was our 20th anniversary this year. And over the years, we've certainly kind of updated it. Had a big update when the new curriculum came into play. And it is a very comprehensive assessment. We've done a little bit of training around it. And the feeling is that sometimes it's considered too much. It's very dense. It takes a long time to do. And so instead, we developed a comprehensive educational interview form of it that uses the first two sections of the assessment tool in order to start to unearth some of this with learners. Next slide, please. So as a regional learning network, we've offered centralized assessment for a very long time. And the hope for that, certainly it's initial assessment, but we want to explore people's goals, some of the barriers that they're facing so that we can help them design a learning plan a pathway plan that makes a lot of sense so that we can make great referrals into LBS programs. And also try to identify, their skills, their strengths, their interests, and of course, their upgrading needs to make that kind of great connection to the program in the community that would best serve them. Oftentimes, that's a literacy and basic skills program. Next slide. So at ABEA, in terms of our assessment model, as you see there, it's a bit of a choose your own adventure. We have referrals from all sorts of different community partners, and we always start with an educational interview to try to explore what other possible skills check-ins the client might be interested in and benefit from. But it could be simply just kind of an interview and referral, or it could be a task-based assessment or a learning challenges assessment. So what we are calling our learning exploration tool is kind of step one of what we do. And I think that there's some cool pieces in there that might be interesting to service providers, literacy practitioners. Next slide. So the learning exploration tool, is a comprehensive educational interview. But what sets it apart, because there's some really amazing tools out there already, is the Learning Challenges pre-screen and background interview that's embedded into that tool. And so the idea is that practitioners would only use the pieces of the template that are relevant. Oftentimes, service providers you have great assessment processes, you have ways that you do things that really work for you and your learners. And so certainly I don't want to mess with that. And so it's offering a template where you can kind of add and subtract pieces or just use a little bit, whichever makes sense for you. If you're coming from kind of the network perspective and you are either offering or are thinking about doing kind of centralized assessment, then, the tool might work in a more fulsome way. But the point is that it needs to be flexible and adaptable to what you're already doing in your programs. So if there's little nuggets of this work that will be helpful, then you would just simply use those. Next. So the template itself has everything that you would expect an educational interview to have in terms of background information and goals and different learning preferences. But again, it also has the learning challenges pre-screen and background interview. And it also has things like a training profile table or job profile table, things like that that perhaps you might not have thought to use before, or maybe you're seeing more learners on the employment goal path, or learners coming that are interested in Better Jobs Ontario and submitting an application for training. And so some of those pieces might be really interesting to look at and how they might be integrated into your existing tools. Next. So I'm hoping to run some training and have developed a flyer that I am happy to post in the chat, and as well as a registration link. And so what we're hoping to cover in the training is, how we're connecting this idea about adults with learning challenges to the fundamental work we do in literacy and basic skills. And then, of course, an overview of learning challenges and specific markers, looking at the learning exploration tool and trying to connect that work with what possible learning strategies might work for different learners and some key takeaways. So that training is about 5 hours long, which seems very long, but I'm hoping to break it up into 2 mornings in January. And so I have a couple of questions that I'll pose, and certainly happy if next slide, please. If people could give me their feedback in the chat or raise their hand. I know I don't want to take a ton of time, but I'll also offer the training flyer for you as well in the chat. But just hoping that you or colleagues might be interested in this training and in this tool, and whether or not you would be kind of interested in attending 2 sessions. And okay, great. I'm seeing some positive feedback in the chat, so that's wonderful. If there are particular questions, I'm absolutely happy to address them. And then the next slide, please. It's just an image of the flyer that I'm going to post. I have kind of tentatively booked this training for 2 Thursdays in January, and I know that seems a little ridiculous because it's so far away, but given that we are at the end of June and the fall tends to be incredibly busy, I thought maybe January might work a little bit better amidst all the other amazing things happening this year. Yes, and I apologize to those who have already heard this spiel last week, but I was really hoping to make sure that the field was aware, and that I could maybe design the training around the feedback that I was getting. And that's it for me. If there are any questions, I'm happy to address that, and I will post that in the chat. No, Roger, there is no cost to that. We added it to our business plan this year to offer this training. That's it for me. Thanks.
Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, governance. Okay, so Project Read Literacy Network has created a resource called Recruiting and Orienting Board Members. So in this resource are some best practices, key considerations, checklists for effective recruitment and onboarding of new board members, and some guidance for reviewing and refreshing orientation processes with existing members. This tool supports strong organizational governance and capacity building with LBS agencies. So if this is something that you could benefit from, the link is provided. Life stabilization. Okay, so Community Literacy of Ontario has a podcast series on life stabilization. And there are 3 episodes. The first is What is Life Stabilization and the Role of LBS Programs. Challenges in Life Stabilization is episode 2. And then they have some successes in life stabilization for episode 3. So you don't need a Spotify account to listen to these podcasts. You just have to go directly to the link and just click on the play button beside each. Next. Okay, to go alongside those podcasts, CLO also created a number of fact sheets. So definitely look at those to see highlights of the successes, challenges, and strategies related to supporting life stabilization among learners in LBS programs. So this draws from insights from community-based LBS agencies across Ontario. Next. Program capacity seemed to be a big focus for resources last year. And so the first is the LBS Data Definitions Guide. And this was something that was created by Learning Ontario Centre South, LOC, and the Quill Learning Network. And the goal of this spreadsheet was to create or attempt to create a standardized set of definitions for the terms that we all see in either the CAMS database or on the forms that the ministry has us fill in for learners. There's been so many times when people have said, well, how are you interpreting this question? And they haven't ever got a straight answer from the ministry. The ministry tends to leave things open-ended to give us a little more leeway, but it doesn't help with the data consistency across the province. Our reason for creating this was to encourage people to have some consistency in how they interpret the data. It's definitely, it's just recommendations. It's not a requirement for anybody to answer the questions or interpret the terms on the forms the same way as been identified. But we did consult with a number of people on this to find out how they were currently answering or filling in the forms, how they were interpreting the terms or defining the terms. So we did find a bit of common ground. So it's all here in this spreadsheet. And again, this is something we've recently updated simply because culminating tasks now being added back into the requirement for LBS programs for learners who are able to complete them or willing to complete them. So the spreadsheet has a number of tabs or sheets. There are definitions for the terms found on the participant registration form and exit and follow-up form, definitions for the terms used to track referrals in and referrals out of LBS programs. There's information related to suitability or FQS, and examples and tips to help you with decision making. So there's a whole column of notes where we've, identified where definitions might be better to be loosely interpreted or interpreted. And there's also quick references to terms important in LBS, but not currently recognized by the ministry. So for instance, most of us use word of mouth for referrals in, but that is not something that's recognized by the ministry. Definitely not any points given for using that. So we have, as I said, we've done some updates to this. It's actually sitting on my desktop waiting for my final input. And then this will be shared to the LBS Resources Forum. Currently, it is available on the Quill website at the link provided here. Okay. So there's been a lot of work by support organization on their practitioner training module. So the CASBA is one of the support organizations that have updated their training modules and made them available. And so they have an LBS Practitioner Training 101, Essentials for LBS Instruction, and an LBS Practitioner Training 102, which is supporting success in LBS. I'm also told if you go to the website where these are provided, the PLAR modules are also found on the same page and are constantly being updated. So if you are looking for PLAR as well as PLAR information, as well as practitioner training for staff, this is the website for you. Next, please. Okay. Community Literacy of Ontario has also updated their training. They call them foundational training modules, and there are 3 of them. The first focuses on LBS program leadership and includes links to many resources, and as well as information about CAMS, EOPD, EOIS, SP Connect, funding, financials, community stakeholders, staff management, volunteer management, and governance. Module 2 focuses on LBS instructors, and it was created to help frontline staff understand the Ontario Adult Literacy Curriculum Framework. And it includes lots of training materials, videos, and guides to assist staff and even the volunteers for those organizations that rely heavily on volunteers. It also includes an outline for OALCF levels, competencies, milestones, culminating tasks, and references to OALCF curriculum developed for the field. It also talks a bit about one-to-one training versus small group. Module 3 is called LBS Program General Introduction, and it's just a comprehensive guide created for LBS staff and volunteers. And in it, it discusses the significance of adult literacy, the various programs available, and provides insights into the structure and goals of the LBS program. And it's divided into 2 sections. Section 1 focuses on introducing skills to new staff, while Section 2 focuses on the need for literacy. Next. Okay, podcast series for instructor training, Metro Toronto Movement for Literacy. This, I guess you can consider it's legacy training. There, MTML was able to produce a series of 20 podcasts that are intended to act as training for the next generation of literacy practitioners. So there are the podcasts feature conversations with experienced literacy practitioners and capture topics and insights related to the 5 key literacy services, those being information and referral, assessment, training plan development, training, and follow-up. And the podcasts are available on the MTML website, but also a number of other locations as well. There's a printed resource that includes a collection of all the podcast transcripts, and it's just an excellent resource that has captured the knowledge and expertise and experience of literacy practitioners that are leaving the field and won't be here to access or provide one-on-one training or for to new practitioners, staff. Okay. Capacity building is just capability enhancement. This was a resource created by Project Read Literacy Network, and it is designed for program coordinators and managers who are trying to assess and enhance their program's internal capacity. It includes a capacity assessment tool and strategies to strengthen key areas such as staffing, program delivery, partnership, and evaluation. It's capacity building, but it's also succession planning in a way. So this resource supports continuous improvement and organizational sustainability in the LBS sector. Okay, LBS Guide, Identifying and Supporting Clients and Learners. This was created by Mid-North Network. So it is a collection of practical, community-informed strategies that enhance outreach, learner engagement, and program retention. MNN used the findings of a sector-wide survey, as well as lots of dialogue, years of dialogue at literacy service planning and coordination tables. It reflects provincial and regional trends alongside the lived experiences of programs in the Mid-North region. It features insights, promising practices, and tools to help LBS organizations respond to the evolving needs of their communities. They kept it as a living document, so I intend to expect it to grow and adapt over time as new perspectives, innovation, and feedback from the field comes in. So they were recognizing that every region is different, every program is different. They are recommending that this guide be used alongside your existing policies, and that you tailor it to meet the needs of your region and or organization. Just saw a question in the chat. The MNN website is currently under construction. That's why there's no specific link to this resource yet. Hopefully I will be able to add it in once that website is up and running again. So if you are going there, that you will find that it's not active at this time. Next slide, please. Okay, Orientation to Literacy and Basic Skills. This was a document created by Literacy Link Eastern Ontario. And it's basically an overview of the entire LBS program as it relates to Employment Ontario, and the Ministry of Labor, Immigration, Training and Skills Development, provincial LBS support organizations, and LBS service providers. So in it, you'll find an overview of the roles and responsibilities of networks, and also provincial support orgs and other programs. So it recognizes that each literacy organization in Ontario has unique roles, characteristics, services, and requirements, but also recognizes that there are many commonalities as well, and those are introduced in this guide. Next slide, please. Sorry. Okay, this goes along with that guide. It's the Ontario LBS system overview. It's a one-page infographic, I guess, with live links that provides an at-a-glance organizational chart of the LBS system. And if anybody wants to, find any more information about any of the organizations that are referenced on this, there are links that can take them to that. Research. So Community Literacy of Ontario has developed a research report called The Impact of the ES Transformation on LBS Community-Based Agencies. I'm sure if you read through it, you'll see that many of the same things that have impacted community-based agencies have probably impacted everyone else as well. So there's some valuable insights contained in this report, as well as some of the successes, challenges, and strategies that have emerged throughout the transition. This resource also offers practical guidance and key learnings to support the work of LBS agencies. A research bulletin on underrepresented groups, success stories in LBS. This was also created by Community Literacy of Ontario. And in this resource, 5 LBS programs share their success stories and strategies for working with learners from underrepresented groups. And the intent of this was to support and increase knowledge and understanding among LBS providers of the varied underrepresented groups in Ontario. Training resources. Okay. Task-based activities portal for LBS. This is a Quill Learning Network resource, and it has been around for a long time, but in the last couple of, or last fiscal in particular, with some additional funding that we had, Quill had started an upgrade and update of all the tasks on there. The last fiscal, we focused on the employment goal path specific tasks on the portal. We reviewed all of them, pretty much rewrote all of them, and added a whole lot more new ones. We also created tasks that could be bundled into, if you have a specific interest in one particular job, or if you're looking for things about paychecks, employment standards. There's a number of tasks that kind of go together that are listed as task bundles that you can access for learners. So we have uploaded most of the new employment tasks, but there's still a few left to get up there. And hopefully those will be done by probably by the beginning of July, I would think. Part of the delay is because we have also digitized pretty much every single task. There are some exceptions, some that cannot be digitized, but we have created Google Forms and fillable PDFs for probably 80% of the tasks that appear on the portal. So this year, Quill is reviewing and updating the tasks that are related to the other goal paths. There's a huge focus on the apprenticeship tasks. There will be quite a number of new tasks for that. And also there are a number of new tasks for secondary credit pertaining to CAKE, and a number of post-secondary education tasks, some of which have already been written on the process for pursuing post-secondary education. And then there are some independent tasks planned as well. So we did this a little bit backwards. We've been updating the task first, but as we started to upload the new tasks, we realized that the portal itself or the website itself probably could use a refresh. So currently, while we are uploading new, we are also rebuilding the TBA website in the background to make it more user-friendly and to allow Quill to share additional resources that have been created. So stay tuned. We are planning to do a webinar on that topic at some point over this fiscal year. It all depends on when that new portal is available. So we invite you to take a look at that because there are a lot of new resources on there. Justice Involved, Moving Beyond Barriers. It's created by Metro Toronto Movement for Literacy, and it's a resource booklet that includes highlights of workshop and panel discussions, a curated list of resources to support individuals involved in the justice system, and highlights of different sessions offered by Toronto Workforce Innovation Group, Centennial College, as part of their Correctional Literacy Initiative, and PTP. Supporting underrepresented groups, Project READ initiative. This guide includes resources based on the Skills for Success project, Phase 1 research, and Phase 2 community organization outreach and interviews. So it's designed for the LSP underrepresented groups working committee members and is intended to help LBS programs best support Indigenous persons, transient or homeless persons, and persons with moderate to significant anxiety as underrepresented groups in local LBS programs. LBS Resource Forum, Resources for Underrepresented Group. Again, as part of the site's ongoing development, CLO added 15 new resources to the forum that are focused on underrepresented groups and the independence goal path. These new resources can also be found in a PDF. Okay, the updater. Now, this may not seem like a training resource, but this new newsletter that was produced twice last year is a great source of LBS information, articles and descriptions, and links to resources that you may not have heard of or you might have heard of but didn't know a lot about. So it's a click-through version, or it can be downloaded as well. Oops. Let's give Stacey a second to get the PowerPoint
Sorry,
back.
Heather.
That's okay.
I don't seem to have the option to go from where I am, so I will get back to slide 61 in a sec.
Okay. There's only 70 slides total, so we're almost done, everybody.
only.
This is always a big webinar because there's a lot of information to pack in there. Okay, next slide, please. Perfect. Okay. The KESBA Skills for Success web video. Welcome. And so this is basically a video introduction to KESBA's Skill for Success e-learning platform. And it's to help anybody who is interested in accessing the KESBA Skills for Success resources understand how that portal or that platform works. Next slide. WMIS and SIMDUT training, Mid-North Network. SIMDUT, and I don't know if anybody ever says is a proper word, but that is the French version of WMIS. MNN partnered with NORTAD to offer WMIS and the French version of WMIS training for the deaf and hard of hearing community. It was a collaborative project and with MNN and Canadian Hearing Services, where the online WMIS training was adapted into ASL and LSQ to make essential safety information accessible to everyone. So there is a video that goes alongside this, and you can get more information if you go to this link. Okay. So deaf resources. S5 Dynamic Learning Initiative has been extremely busy over the past year. We have Bruce Belcher with us here. I'm going to go through the slides and then open it up to Bruce to provide any additional information that goes along with this. So among the resources that S5DLI created last fiscal were 31 ongoing assessment tools, which they hope to be released before September. 24 of these tools were at level 1, 7 were at level 2. They also created 2 ASL video-based milestones for milestone 217, which is use grocery flyer to compare costs, and for milestone 57, begin to manage learning. Additionally, they created 2 culminating tasks, one for the independent goal path, create a personal budget, and one for the employment goal path, use documents to follow safety information for the workplace. They also created a banking app simulator, which will be used with OGAT and in-class activities. Bruce, do you have any additional information on these resources that you want to share?
Kim, I can take the English. Certainly, Heather, I can add to that. Are we good to go?
Yes.
Just making sure the interpreters are online. I just want to build on what we see on the icon with those 6 images. Those are the consistent documents, task-based activities that we're using with our ongoing assessment tools. And when you look at those competencies, we use that along with our SCARGO, the 3rd icon that you see there. That is a checklist of skills that the learner will have and demonstrate within those tasks. Within the flyers, you see that we have questions and answers around what's in the context of the flyers. We also have a document that tells the practitioners what to do with those tasks. So there are 6 pages for every 31 activities that we developed. So I just wanted to build on that. So you see those 6 things. And if the Anglophone stream wants to use this, it will be available to everyone coming in September. Do you want me to go ahead and talk about the next slide, Heather?
Sure, if you'd like to.
Sure. Sure. So similarly here, we're certainly very proud of this piece because we have courses that we have developed for our practitioners, for our PCCs. It's been now 2 years that we have 3 levels, and within each level, you'll see the certification badge, which you can see at the top of the slide using the old color from the previous Deaf Learning Initiative. We have incorporated the 2 organizations, and then the third color is designed with our S5 color. So, and you will see our S5 logo on the back. So we're quite proud of this badge that we've created in this program. Every practitioner will get a certificate for each course they've completed. This new resource was developed 2 years ago called our Emergent Level Learning Activities. We also have Emergent Level Task-Based Activity. That was our big project in 2023 that we've made available on the website. Learners can go in. It's very simple. It's not complex. So those with new skills are able to navigate that. And you can see we have 9 where you see this emerging level activities. So that's what we have. And then you see at the bottom, it's like a sample of there where they can recognize what is the uppercase level. So very emergent level designed. This also will be released in this upcoming fall. Also, oh, I see the title's not here on our PowerPoint, but we developed a blueprint for a resource that's called Signpost that we have created. We have our own that's called Bridge to Deaf Success, and we modified that to line up with the OALCF. And so we've been working on that for quite some time. Next slide, if you don't mind. This is another thing that we created way back in 2009. We had the workforce literacy and workplace literacy packages, booklets that we had with a variety of activities that were applicable to the workplace that learners would need to know before starting in the workplace. We have updated that for current standards, thinking about both skills that they need, soft skills, and their skills for success. So those are the titles that we have created for level 1 and level 2. You can see them outlined there. They also will get a badge when they complete this course. There are 19 badges in total that we have created so far, and you can see samples of them here. All right. And I believe that covers all of it. Yes. So that's, I think, it for me. Thank you, Heather.
Thanks, Bruce. I appreciate you jumping in there. Okay, our next category, I think is our last one, use of technology. Okay, so eChannel, Contact North, has created 11 videos related to technology and eChannel. And the topics of those videos are getting started with Big Blue Button version 2.7, creating a job interview simulation with InStage, blended learning with eChannel, the Learning Hub, ACE Distance, Good Learning Anywhere, Formation à Distance, Deaf Learn Now, and extended reality in education and training, connected learning, expanding adult literacy through blended solutions. I don't know if Stacy or Sarah want to add anything more about that.
Hi, Heather. I can jump in quickly. Yeah, so these were videos that we produced this year. Usually they are the first, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all of them except the last one. The last one is the connected learning, expanding adult literacy through blended solutions is actually a webinar that we put on in March, I believe. The other ones are just kind of quick how-to videos the blended learning with eChannel and the ones that have each of the eChannel partners. Those are like 1 minute quick snapshots of each of the eChannel providers. Just quick info about what their program is about and the learners that they support, etc. You can find all of these videos on the eChannel portal.
Great, thanks, Sarah. Okay, service delivery, use of technology, Community Literacy of Ontario. This report summarizes a provincial survey of Ontario's community-based LBS agencies that was conducted in January 2025 and assesses the technology used in service delivery across literacy organizations. And that is the end of today's presentation. Thank you for sticking with me during that. And if you have any questions, we're almost out of time, but feel free to ask or pop them into the chat. And please, when you do leave, please be sure to take the time to complete the survey that pops up for you. And yeah, so thank you very much. I want to thank our ASL interpreters as well. I know I was talking quite quickly there for a bit, and so thank you for bearing with me. There was a lot of information to get through. So please stay tuned for the flyer that we've got some great follow-up sessions to come in starting in September and running through to February, and that flyer will be sent out in the very near future.
All right, Heather, I think that's it. That's the first one for 2025, 2026.
Just answering a question, Wanda, the survey will pop out when you exit the webinar. Pop up, I mean.